Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outliers YouTube channel and our program, Get to Know. I'm your host, DP Lyle, and I am here with my partner in crime, Kathleen Antrim.
Thanks, Doug. It is great to be here. We have another great interview for you today. We have an award-winning writer, multiple awards actually, Lori Duff. Welcome to Get to Know, Lori.
Thank you so much for having me.
I always like to ask a specific question, and Doug thinks I'm putting the authors on the couch. But anyway, if that's the truth, well then, okay, we'll go there. I want to know about your childhood. I wondered if there was anything in your childhood that you think predisposed you to become a writer. What kind of a childhood did you have? Were you an outgoing child, a shy child? Did you read a lot? Tell us about it.
That's a huge question. Well, I was the kind of child who read the covers off of books. I would read them and reread them and reread them and have to mend them with tape. I would remember going to the library every week and just getting stacks and coming back and just, some
We
kids
have that in
teddy
common.
bears. Yeah, some people have teddy bears. I had books. So is there anything particular about my childhood that led to this? I don't know.
Were you shy or more introverted or?
Well, okay, so that's a question I only think I could answer when I hit my 40s. I thought I was shy, but I don't think that I was, and I know that I am not now. I think I'm just highly introverted. I prefer hanging out in my head most of the time.
Sure.
Don't we all writers like that?
Yeah. Is that how you recharge your batteries, basically, is being in solitude and quiet? And
absolutely.
Like root canal to have to go out in public? Your closest friends, your characters that you're writing.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny that you said root canal because I wrote on my Substack, I wrote a piece about having a root canal recently and how it was actually a wonderful kind of day because I felt no pain. They numbed me up. Exactly. I got to lay back and go in my head while someone else did all the work.
Exactly.
It relieved suffering. There was absolutely nothing wrong. And I'd been making that joke for years. Like, I'd much rather have a root canal than go to this meeting.
Yeah.
But now that I've had a root canal, oh my gosh, that's true.
Yeah.
I really would.
I don't know what that says about us as writers.
No doubt about it.
I have no idea, but man, it was a good day.
So when you were doing all this early reading and devouring books and all that, did you know that someday you wanted to produce one of those? And when did you say, okay, now's the time, I'm going to sit down and put pen to paper, as it were?
Okay, that is a multi-level question, as I'm sure you know. Well, when I was a child, I always wrote stories, and I would get those. This was in the 70s, and they had those hardcover books with nothing in them, and those were my favorite. And I would fill those with stories, and I still have some of them, and they are just horribly embarrassing. But the first draft's supposed to stink. So anyway, but I just, that was one of my favorite things to do, is just write stories. And I had the great fortune to go to a high school that took the arts very seriously. And I don't even know if those things exist these days, but I went to Long Beach High School in Long Beach, New York, and they had a program that they called Talented Writers, which is kind of a bad name, but anyway, and you had to submit writing to get into it. And if you got into it, it was a 4-year program, and it was a creative writing class. And we had an award-winning literary journal in the high school. So I really got a lot of instruction there. And then I took creative writing classes in college. It didn't occur to me, mainly because I had it drilled into me from my parents, that was something I could do. for a living. I did fairly well in school, and so my parents gave me two options. They said law school or med school, and so I didn't want to go to med school. So I didn't think I had any other options besides law school. And then somewhere around the time, it's somewhere in my early 40s, I'd been a lawyer for 20 years, and it'll drain you. It is a soul-sucking profession, because nobody in the history of ever has said, you know, I'm having a really good day and things are going right, I'm going to call my lawyer. They they call you in tears, they call you when they're at their lowest, they call you when they're afraid, they call you when they've completely messed everything up, and they want you to fix a problem that they've taken 10 years to create in 2 weeks. And it's a very stressful job, and it feels like going out to war every day. You go to do battle, you put on your battle uniform, and it's somebody versus somebody. It's a very adversarial process, and that will take big chunks out of your soul. So somewhere around, like I said, in my early 40s, I needed a pressure release valve. And at the time, that my husband is 16 years older than me, and he retired about that time and proceeded to wear a circular hole in the carpet, just doing nothing, just running around in circles. And he will tell you this, I'm not speaking out of turn here, he is the poster child for adult attention deficit disorder. And he often, he's messy and his stuff is everywhere, and he has never finished a project ever. And so one day I needed to control over some part of my life. And so I went into our bathroom and I deep cleaned it. Like, I got into the grout with a toothbrush, and I mean, you could have licked the inside of the toilet. And I was so proud of it. And I was like, look, Mike, look what I did. And he comes in, and God bless him, he meant well. He decided that because we had this clean, sparkly bathroom, we needed all new light bulbs in the light fixtures to show it off appropriately. So we have a double sink, and he reaches up and goes to take the light bulb out of the light fixture above my sink, and it wiggles. The socket is not as tight as he wants it to be. So he takes down the light fixture. All this black dust comes flying out all over my clean bathroom. And then it took him, I kid you not, 9 months to put the light fixture back up.
Oh, no.
So we did not get divorced. We are still married, which is a miracle.
And everybody's still alive, I take it.
Right. Everyone. In fact, I have a book called, You Know I Love You Because You're Still Alive. In any event, so rather than kill him, which would be a problem because we still had young kids at the time, I started blogging about all the things that he was doing that somehow in his mind were more important than putting up the light fixture. And it was things like, we have a power line easement behind our house, and he wanted to see what grass he could plant there that would attract wild turkeys. And then he had to figure out how to water back there because it was too far to get a hose back there. And so this was his big, it was a whole thing.
All instead of putting up a light fixture. That's hilarious.
All instead of putting up a light fixture, which would have taken him 15 minutes, I think. But any event, I had been at that for a while, and it was just a private thing, and I only shared it with my friends. And then this was when the patch was just sort of taking off, and the local editor of the patch put out a call for, she wanted blogs on the patch, and she wanted, personal stuff kind of So I sent her a link to my blog and I said, is this what you're looking for? And she said, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And so I decided, well, I really don't want to just dog my husband in public. That's not the recipe for a successful marriage. So I kind of broadened the scope of the blog and I started doing that. And I want to say that was 2012. So I just started writing these funny, silly little blogs, and they were a great escape for me from the drama that is practicing law. I felt like it was evening out my karma. And then the blog started getting attention and started winning awards. It won first place in the humor category from the National Society of Newspaper Columnists. And
I have to congratulate you on that. It's very hard to write humor, so that's very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. It is, though. It's a whole different skill, and it's different than being funny out loud, because so much of funny has to do with timing.
Yes.
And
the way you say it and all of that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you don't have facial expressions and you don't have gestures. There can be no visuals. And if you describe a visual, then it bogs down the humor, and humor has to come fast and has to be surprising. So it's a whole different art than stand up. But anyway, so, then as I got older, I was like, I've done this enough. I've been a lawyer now for 30 years. And I want to get back to living a creative life. And I was watching the confirmation hearings of a politician who shall not be named, but he was performing terribly. And I was watching it and I was thinking, I know this guy has handlers. I know this guy has someone who has prepped him for this hearing, and he's not listening to any of their advice. And so in the typical introvert fashion, I just kind of got in this little eddy in my head of thoughts along that. And I thought, well, how many times have I done that? Have I sat with a client in my office and said, do not say X, and then they get on the stand and the first thing they say is X? And just it's almost Cassandra-like. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if you do this, and then they do it, and they're like, I can't believe that happened. So I was just kind of relating to his handlers, and then I was also thinking, I am just so tired of representing people like this that I don't like or I don't agree with, and they don't listen to me, and they won't do what I say. And it just all came to me at once that I could, and I was also thinking, what is going on in his head? This is a smart guy who's at the top of his profession, who's being confirmed by Congress to his position, and he's saying these dumb things. What is going on in his head? And so I just thought, well, I want to write about him because I want to get in his head. I want to see what he's thinking. I want to know where he's coming from. And so I have a book coming out November 12th. It's called Devil's Defense. And that is the book that came from that whole thought spiral where I have a young female lawyer who is trying to establish a practice in the semi-rural South, which is in and of itself a thing. And she ends up representing the local high school football coach, who is this good-looking, popular guy that she cannot stand. She disagrees with him. She thinks he's wrong. He won't listen to her. Yes, that's my cover. And she has to figure out how to present his case and keep her own integrity intact. And representing him interferes with her personal life because this is a small town. And so that's where the inspiration for that book came from.
I love the cover.
Thank you. I do too.
Really like
beautiful. Really.
And it screams small town. That's what I was going to ask you. We have a lot in common. I practiced medicine for 56 years and just finished. And you're right. It's so time consuming and takes over so much of your life that you need that creative outlet. And that's when I started writing. And if not now, when? Just go do it, you moron. Don't wait till you retire.
Right.
But the other thing is small towns. I love stories set in small towns because whatever's going on is more impactful than, like LA or Miami or wherever. So why did you create, that said, why did you create a small town, and why did you put this story, which the cover screams small town? It almost reminds me of Inherit the Wind. You know, they could have the monkey trial in this place.
Right. Well, this is the kind of courthouse where that trial happened.
Yeah, exactly. Been there.
Yeah. The reason why I did is, they say write what you know, and I live and practice in a small southern town.
Right.
I live in Loganville, Georgia, which is about halfway between Athens and Atlanta. Athens is where the University of Georgia is. So about an hour on either side. And so I've been in a small town Southern practice for the past 20 years. So it seemed to me the easiest place to set it because it was the most familiar.
And it's filled with great minor characters.
I think so.
I love writing minor characters,
Yeah.
And in the South, we got a bunch of them.
Oh, we do. Was it Julia Sugarbaker said, we don't hide our crazy, we put it on the front porch?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. I often wish I'd been born in the South so I could be a Southern writer.
Well, I was not. I'm a New York girl, but I've lived here for 30 years. So
yeah,
it rubs off.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've started law school in 91 at Emory, so that was in Atlanta, and I haven't left. So I've been here all of my adult life. And
the cornbread gets in your blood. It's as simple as that. Yes.
Tell us about your process. Are you an outline writer? Are you just a pantser? I mean, how do you write?
I am 100% a pantser. I often have no idea where it's going to go.
Good.
I start with characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like I started out, in this case, it was Jessica, who's the lawyer, and Coach, who's the coach, obviously. I started out with those two characters, and I just wanted to see how they would interact. So I just sat down and had them start talking to each other. And then it's just kind of like, oh, well, if she says this, then he's going to say this. And then, she needs a paralegal. So who's her paralegal? And well, she's got to have a social life. So let's give her some friends. And, the judges are all going to have personalities, and the court clerks, and the people at the Chamber of Commerce, which is where everybody goes to rub elbows. And I think, or I hope anyway, we'll see if I pulled it off, that the town itself is a character in the book.
Sure. I love that.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So tell us again when your book comes out.
It comes out November 12th.
So exciting. Yes. I'm sure it will hit all the bestseller lists. So
from your mouth to God's ear.
And I will be I'll be in line to get one. Can we pre-order it now on Amazon?
You can pre-order it wherever you want to pre-order books.
Fantastic.
It should be everywhere.
Wonderful. Well, Lori Duff, it's been great having you on Get to Know. We'll have to have you back to talk about your next project, which I'm sure will be coming down the pike someday soon. And
I can tell you what it is if you want.
Oh yes.
Devil's Defense is the first in a sequel.
Okay.
So the next one is called, I'm working on the third now. I'm blanking on which one is next. Yeah. So it's The Devil's Children. And it is coming out October 7th, 2025.
Oh, how exciting.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to have you back for sure to talk about that one as well. And just have you back for fun, because you're a great interview and a great storyteller. And we've really enjoyed this.
And I love your sense of humor. I love your sense of humor.
Yeah.
I write humor too. And you're so right. Timing is everything. And when you don't have feedback, what's funny to you may not be funny to the reader. If you're in a crowd and you tell them, you can tell whether it's funny or not, and that's the point.
Yeah.
But it's been great talking to you, and we can't wait to have you back again. And good luck with the new book.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. So that concludes this episode of Get to Know here on the Outliers YouTube channel. And as you know, we will be back with other interviews. So hang in there. and stay with us, and go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll keep you informed of everything Outliers. Until next time.